English Jews are one of the most prominent ethno-religious groups in England. Their presence in the country dates back over a millennium and reflects a history that is both compelling and poignant. The population of people who identify as Jewish in England is close to 280,000, with more than 90% of the total Jewish population of the United Kingdom resides in England. Greater London is home to more than half of the UK's Jewish population, while London Borough of Barnet has the highest concentration of Jewish residents of any borough. Outside the capital, Greater Manchester has the second largest concentration of the Jewish community. In this region, the community is found predominantly in the towns of Bury and Salford. The history of Jewish presence in England can be traced through four significant waves of settlement. The first wave comprises the early medieval settlements, during which Jewish communities established themselves and contributed to commerce and finance. The second wave occurred during the Cromwellian era, marked by a cautious resettlement following centuries of expulsion. The third wave involved a large influx of Ashkenazi refugees from Eastern Europe in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, fleeing widespread anti-Semitic persecution and pogroms in their home countries. Finally, the fourth wave took place after World War II, when Jews from the Middle East and Africa immigrated to England in search of safety and new opportunities. Jews first arrived in England from Rouen, Normandy after the Norman conquest in 1066. William the Conqueror wanted to consolidate his position in England, but he would need a lot of money for it. Lending money with interest or usury was forbidden to Christians and considered a sin. As a result, he paved the way for Jews to migrate and settle in England. They initially established themselves in London, which became the main centre of Anglo-Jewish life. Under kings like Henry I and Henry II, Jews grew in cities such as London, York, and Lincoln. They played a crucial role in financing nobles and even the monarchy itself. However, because they were associated with debt and royal taxation, resentment against them increased. Things became unstable during the civil war known as the Anarchy, under Stephen. As royal authority weakened, Jewish communities suffered from local violence. During this period, in 1144, the first recorded blood libel in England emerged in Norwich, the false accusation that Jews had ritually murdered a Christian child. This myth spread across Europe and fueled centuries of anti-Jewish hatred. During the reign of Richard I, violence erupted. Anti-Jewish riots broke out at his coronation in 1189, and in 1190 a massacre took place in York. Although Jews were under royal protection, that protection was not always enforced against mob violence. Under Henry III, legal discrimination increased. In 1218, Jews were ordered to wear identifying badges. Then came the Statute of Jewry in 1253, which restricted where Jews could live, limited contact with Christians, and reinforced segregation. These laws institutionalized anti-Jewish policy rather than just social prejudice. Finally, under Edward I, the situation became irreversible. The Statute of Jewry in 1275 banned Jews from lending money at interest, destroying their main livelihood. Stripped of economic function and facing growing hostility, England's Jews were expelled entirely in 1290. During Oliver Cromwell's rule, a Dutch rabbi named Manasseh ben Israel petitioned him to allow Jews to return, arguing it would help trade and benefit the country. England was recovering from civil war and looking to rebuild its economy. Cromwell agreed, but there was no formal law. Instead, Jews were informally tolerated. Cromwell received the petition and convened the Whitehall Conference, where merchants, lawyers, and clergy debated whether Jews should be allowed back. While the conference didn't produce a formal law, Cromwell's government made it clear that Jews could settle in England without persecution. This was an informal but significant readmission. The first Jewish settlers were mostly Sephardic Jews from Spain and Portugal, many of whom had lived in Amsterdam. The first Jewish settlers mostly arrived in London, particularly around Christchurch Lane and later Bevis Marks, where the famous Sephardic synagogue was built in 1701. Ashkenazi Jewish immigration to England began in earnest during the late 17th and 18th centuries, primarily driven by persecution and economic hardship in Central and Eastern Europe. Ashkenazi immigrants began arriving in larger numbers in the early 18th century, often settling in London's East End, where they worked in trades such as tailoring, peddling, and small-scale commerce. Over time, the Ashkenazi community established religious, educational, and social institutions, including synagogues, charities, and schools. Throughout the 19th century, immigration increased, especially after the 1881 anti-Jewish pogroms in the Russian Empire. This influx contributed to the growth of vibrant Jewish neighborhoods in London, such as Whitechapel and Spitalfields. Gradually, Jews gained legal rights, culminating in the 1858 Jews Relief Act, which allowed them to sit in Parliament. In the early 20th century, Ashkenazi Jewish immigration from Eastern Europe slowed due to the Aliens Act of 1905, but new arrivals continued to settle, mainly in London's East End and industrial cities like Manchester and Leeds. After World War II, rising Arab nationalism and the creation of Israel in 1948 made life uncertain for many Jews in the Middle East. Facing discrimination, riots, and social pressure in countries like Iraq, Egypt, Iran, and Aden, thousands decided to leave. Most went to Israel, but some, especially Adeni Jews, settled in London, forming tight-knit communities. Over time, they integrated into British society while keeping their religious and cultural traditions.